is Tim Sika, everybody. Hi.
Hi, Kim.
Hi.
I think Wally Gator took off because he was really mad that they wouldn't let him into that stadium.
He may have. He may
Yeah.
have been tired of being mistreated. He sees all
Yes.
the therapy dogs get in,
Yeah.
all the
Uh-huh.
support animals, and then he's left outside in the cold. I don't
And
know, Tim.
and scream prejudice, Yeah.
Exactly.
Against reptiles. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, here we are at the movies again. You have a lot of good offerings today. I'm really excited to hear what you have to say about Fall Guy because this has been advertised kind of ad nauseum. I keep every time I turn on the TV, they're running some kind of ad for me to see this
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, yeah, the Fall Guy. There's probably no objective reason in the world why I would or should dislike the Fall Guy. For one, it's consciously calculated and specifically designed to be the very definition of a summer blockbuster, an audience pleaser. You get that right from the
Mm-hmm.
trailer.
Yeah.
It's full of action sequences that are at times breathtaking. It's a rom-com between Ryan Gosling, who plays a stuntman for a famous movie action star played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, who's going to be the new James Bond, by the way, and Emily Blunt, who plays this first-time director of a science fiction epic movie. It's a loving tribute. It was designed to be a loving tribute to movie stuntmen and a celebration of the work that they do to make these action movies work and soar on the screen. It's directed by David Leitch, who is a stunt performer, actor, and stunt coordinator himself. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It has a healthy sense of humor about itself. The chemistry between Gosling and Blunt was infectious. It boasts this energized and energizing directorial style. For one, there's this fabulous extended long opening shot take that if you didn't know any better, you would swear it came right out of a Martin Scorsese movie. But, and here's the dreaded but,
Uh-oh.
curiously, as I'm sitting there, Kim, watching this thing unfold and assaulting its IMAX presence all over my body and my psyche, I found myself really, really bored, saying to myself,
Oh
there's so many other
no.
movies out there I want to see. Why am I having to endure this loud, empty, pointless, distracting exercise of a movie? Which is kind of how the sum total of this movie played for me. It really made no sense because it shouldn't have been boring, but it really bored the daylights out of me. I also couldn't get out of the sense either of knowing what was going to happen next, knowing that the spectacular action scene I'm watching now is going to morph into an even more spectacular action sequence in like 10 or 15 minutes. Also thinking like, couldn't they have made a better movie tribute to stuntmen than having to throw in this ridiculous murder mystery into the plot? Or maybe excised or rewrote this eye-rolling speech that Ryan Gosling has about, oh yeah, we stuntmen are tough, we look tough, we act tough, but underneath we hurt just like the rest of you regular people. So for what it is, I mean, the Fall Guy delivers. It delivers. It gives the audience what it says it's going to give the audience. But for me, the entertainment value wasn't sufficient enough to compensate for it really, in the end, being nothing more than this formulaic and mindless distraction.
So would you say that's why it was boring because it was just another formula flick and it was easy to figure out what was coming?
For me, yes, but it's interesting. I'm a voting member of the Critics' Choice Association, and I just got an email today saying that it got the Critics' Choice Association seal of approval. So I'm obviously the critic that's in the minority. I haven't read anybody else's review of this movie yet, but I'm obviously in the critic in the minority on this because apparently the lion's share of my colleagues are saying it's really great. I was bored to death.
Mm.
Sorry to say.
Oh,
So
bummer. All right.
yeah, well, I don't know.
How about this one? This one, I think it's promising. I'm looking forward to it. The
Yeah,
idea
the
of
idea
you.
of you. Yeah, the cast is what drew me to this romantic comedy drama. It's
Hmm.
about a divorced 40-year-old art dealer played by Anne Hathaway, looking very gorgeous in that poster, who is living with her 16-year-old daughter, played by Ella Rubin, and who becomes romantically involved with a 24-year-old boy band singer, played by Nicholas Galitzine, who's also in that poster. And yeah, I'm thinking that I like this movie a little bit more in retrospect than when I was actually watching it. When I was watching it, it seemed trashy,
Okay.
rather than a kind of like serious exploration of this situation, where an older woman finds herself involved with a man, and a much younger man who
Mm-hmm.
also happens to be super famous. And I think in retrospect, that's what they were going for, this serious exploration, which parenthetically on that level, it is not entirely successful. They didn't, I don't think they were serious enough, but I give it an A for effort because it did point out certain negative possibilities that would arise from a situation like the one here portrayed in the movie. The reactive nature of the internet, how people use social media as a forum for vomiting their hate, and
Mm-hmm.
and just the practical ramifications of a relationship like this, both pro and con, that the couple would have to deal with. But I do think this story is just about sex. If it's about anything, and how sex can be, thrilling and exciting and rejuvenating, and an antidote to low self-esteem and all that. I mean, the movie's titled The Idea of You. I love the title, which
Mm-hmm.
is or can be the opposite of the reality of you,
Sure.
right? So I don't think for one that the characters in this story had anything in common except the sex. And the ending is a bit of a cop out too. It's based on a romance novel, so there you go. Maybe in the same vein of, though obviously like less controversial, like novels like 50 Shades of Grey,
Mm-hmm.
novels that appeal to middle-aged women whose
Yeah.
fantasy is to hook up with a younger and gorgeous young guy. Maybe you'd find this movie on the Hallmark Channel, or wherever the romance TV
Well,
channels
I
out
don't
there.
think you're going to find a movie that has a lot of sex on the Hallmark channel.
Oh, okay, yeah,
They
maybe
don't do
not.
sex.
Okay,
As a matter
yeah.
of fact, the formula for the Hallmark movie is when there's a kiss at the end, the movie's over. There's no sex.
Oh,
There's like a
really?
yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It
Okay,
always
yeah.
ends with a kiss.
Yeah.
When the characters kiss, movie over. That's it.
Oh, well, this one
Yeah.
had a lot of like clothes ripping off each other and all
Oh.
kinds of stuff. So I guess I sort of liked The Idea of You, in spite of the fact that it really didn't seem to go anywhere. Like I said, I was drawn to it because of the cast. I love
Yeah.
Anne Hathaway, and I'll see anything that she's in. And
Sure.
the director is a really good one too. His name's Michael Showalter. He directed The Big Sick and The Eyes of Tammy Faye and Spoiler Alert, which were all good movies. So I don't know. Maybe there's more here than met the eye
Mm,
for me. I didn't think it really went anywhere. And again, like I said, initially it seemed trashy, but then I was thinking about it and I thought, well, maybe they were going for something else, which I missed. I don't know. I mean, it wasn't boring, so that's a plus.
It doesn't surprise me, though, that you think it was about sex, because when you have a 40-year-old woman and a 25-year-old guy, and again, that you mentioned the title, The Idea of You, I mean, it seems great, and it probably starts
Uh
out like a great relationship, and
huh.
then you find out there's all kinds of, I don't know, generational gaps in your experience and all kinds of things. I don't know. I think
Yeah.
it would have to be about the sex, which
It
no
well,
problem, but
which is, hey, that,
yeah,
hey, I'm not, who would complain about that? But
right.
when they try to make it seem like maybe like they're implying that it's about something more, and then the
Yeah.
ending, to me, the ending was the tip off, like, I don't know.
No.
Anyway, yeah,
Mm-mm.
right. So blah blah blah.
You've thrown a horror movie into the mix this week. It's called Tarot.
Yes. And I have to admit, I'm sounding very crabby this week, and I'm probably still going to sound that way for just a little while longer. I kind of wanted to start off the week with the junk, but end the week on a more positive note. So anyway, tarot, yeah, referring to the divination card deck.
Mm-hmm.
The preview trailer for this looked pretty scary, but it's a supernatural horror movie. It's based on a novel. I found out after the fact, a novel. The novel is called Horoscope. So it's about a group of friends who rent out this isolated mansion in the Catskills.
Oh,
You know,
that
the
never
location.
goes well.
No,
Mm-mm.
I know, right? The location for these movies always has to be isolated or removed from civilization or in the woods, right? Somewhere. But yeah, so this group of friends, they rent out this mansion in the Catskills for one of the friends' birthday. They want to celebrate and do something different. So one of the friends finds a box of very old tarot cards, which she then proceeds to use to read the horoscopes of the other friends one by one, even though she claims that using somebody else's deck is against the rules in tarot. So, duh, honey, why are you doing this? Well, because if she didn't, all her friends wouldn't be attacked and picked off in some gruesome fashion, one by one, by the evil unleashed by her having used somebody else's, and in this case, a deck that was especially cursed, the tarot deck, right? It's like, okay, why are you doing this then? Oh, yeah, because then there wouldn't be a movie, right? So, this is another one of those movies. To its everlasting credit, it does breathe a bit of new life into its cliched horror genre concept and premise, of a group of people gathering together in some out of the way place and then get murdered by an evil supernatural force or a Freddy or a Jason or whatever. And they do add the tarot and the astrology element, which had potential, but it was all unfulfilled as far as I was concerned here because it's just dumb. The dialogue is silly. The actors, there's no stars. Probably the best known actor is Jacob Batalon, who played Peter Parker's best friend in the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies.
Okay.
But yeah, silly and dumb, inane dialogue that's so self-consciously delivered by these actors that at some point you wonder if they may have been thinking while they're like trying to deliver this dialogue convincingly, like, God, I can't believe I agreed to do this movie. There's a couple of good scares. It gets a little better as it goes along. There's one surreal horror sequence that's actually pretty good as a horror set piece, but the movie's just dumb. And all during it, I was thinking the same thing I was thinking during The Fall Guy, like, why am I wasting my time watching this movie? The other thing that ticked me off about this movie is the way in which they mix the tarot, which is a deep symbolical system, which can lead to a certain kind of self-knowledge, with astrology. And I mean serious astrology, not the kind you read in newspaper columns. They kind of presented it like it was the kind you read in newspaper columns. So all of that is goofily misrepresented here, and that didn't help the movie one iota. So,
no for tarot. Okay.
No, yeah, that's good. Yeah, no for tarot. You can
You're
quote
gonna
me on
make
that,
me.
or I can quote you on that.
No for tarot. You're gonna make me read French subtitles, aren't you?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
This isn't. Yeah, this is. Yeah, I forgot. You see, I forget. I see so many foreign movies. Anyway, okay. Now we're getting to, in my opinion, the better movies for the week. Beginning with this one. It's called Jeanne Du Barry. Written, directed, and starring French actress. Oh, she's not even in the picture there. That's just, of course, they're going to put Johnny Depp in there.
Right.
Anyway,
exactly.
May Wen is the writer, director, and star in what is an historical and biographical period drama, which sticks pretty close to the historical record. She plays the titular Jeanne Du Barry, who's this illegitimate child of a monk and a cook who, despite her low birth and the fact that she's a courtesan, which is a nice way of saying she's a prostitute, right? Or a harlot, right? But she becomes the favorite of Louis XV of France, played by Johnny Depp. And so she becomes the king's mistress. She moves in with him at Versailles, openly becomes the king's lover and paramour, and subsequently scandalizes the whole court, right? And you just know this movie's going to be tragic by the opening credits, because the music is like, uh-oh. So they're preparing you, and it is a tragic tale, biographically and historically. But I hate to always use the this adjective, but it's such an interesting story. In fact, the rest of the films we're going to talk about today are good precisely because they too were so interestingly done. But so yeah, very interesting, this movie. Interesting from an historical perspective, a visual perspective. It's sumptuously shot, and so also therefore from an entertainment perspective as well. It's an interesting story. The period, France, late 1700s, right prior to the Revolution. It's all lovingly evoked with this detail. The details of Versailles court ritual and etiquette are really, you're watching this stuff, you're going, God, that's so, I thought, so interesting. The drama of the piece, it's being criticized for the drama. People are saying it's a little staid and a little underplayed, but that kind of pacing was appropriate to the time period. And so the drama being underplayed, I don't think was neither a plus nor a minus for the movie. It was simply appropriate for the story that was being told here. And there's enough interesting things going on, especially in this relationship, which was so scandalous at the time. Um, the Louis the 15th's wife is still alive when he brings her in, but then she soon dies. But then all hell breaks loose in the court. And this is kind of Johnny Depp's comeback after all that tabloid stuff, you know, about his marriage
Yeah.
and everything, where he sort of disappeared from movie screens for a while. His is a supporting role. He plays Louis the 15th, but he's great here, and he's lost none of his star power. Again,
Mhm.
despite the fact that his role's a supporting one and that he hardly says anything, but through gesture and body language and an expressive face, he conveys everything he needs to convey in order to play this part. So yeah, this one's for fans of period films. I love period films,
Me
historical
too.
films. The
Hmm.
script's excellent. The dialogue is very good. Louis the Louis the 15th daughters at one point are referred to as the antipodes of seduction, which was so insulting. And the production design and the costumes are gorgeous too. You can see that from the poster. So
Yeah,
what's not to like? Easy on the eyes, and you get to learn something about French history, and you get
I
to see
like that.
Johnny Depp return to the movies, where he's always good, and
Yeah.
he's very very good here. And yeah,
In
movie's good. I
theaters?
loved it in theaters. Yeah,
Okay.
in theaters. Yeah.
This is called Mars Express.
Yeah, Mars Express. Yeah. Oh, and where you mentioned that Jean Du Barry is in French. Yeah, and Depp's just when he speaks, it's all in French. I think it's the
Hmm.
first time he ever spoke in French. Mars Express is a feature-length French cyberpunk cartoon for adults.
Huh.
That's more or less what Mars Express is. This futuristic Blade Runner like neo noir thriller. It takes place in 2200, and it's about this female private detective and her male android partner who are hired by this wealthy businessman to track down this notorious hacker. So this then takes them to Mars, where they, and I'm leaving a lot out about the plot,
Hmm.
where they uncover this much darker story and world of, oh God, yikes, brain farms,
Mm.
government corruption, and this missing girl, right, who has within her possession this potentially universe altering secret about all the robots that are populating the current world. It's a world of robots and androids and AI vying for human living and human attention. Again, interesting movie, interestingly rendered. The original version is in French, which I would have preferred to have seen with English subtitles, but instead they showed us an English language dub, which it's
Oh,
easier to get away with animation. But I still think it loses something. It's almost like the English actors are trying to like keep up with the mouth movements and stuff, and they're more
hmm,
interested in like making it seem like it's not dubbed,
right.
but that affects the performances. But anyway, I still found the story compelling, the animation compelling, the implications of the story in terms of it possibly being somewhat predictive of our future in the way H.G. Wells's stories were. And lastly, the strength of the movie and its storytelling was that you actually felt you were in and that you were transported to this cyberpunkish futuristic place that you had never been before. That's how powerfully directed
That's a
Mars
pretty big
Express
feat.
was.
Yeah,
Yeah. And where do you ever see an animated feature cartoon for adults? Not many
right.
places. Well,
It's
here's
true.
one, and it's really really good. It's
That's interesting.
violent. I mean, it starts off with like a murder, but it's violent. I don't think it's a cartoon
Mm-hmm.
for kids. Older kids, yeah, high school kids, yeah, maybe, but
Mm-hmm.
not for little ones. No. But anyway,
Next.
it's very good. It's very original, and yeah. Again, I like things that I've never seen before because I see
Mm-hmm.
so much, and this was something I never really saw
Yeah.
before in animation. So I really liked it. It's called Mars Express, and it's in theaters.
This next one is called Turtles All the Way Down.
Yeah, this may be my favorite movie of the week and the most interesting. Here I go
Mm-hmm.
again of them all. It has the weird, curious title of Turtles All the Way Down, which about two-thirds of the way into the movie, Kim, is explained. I don't know if we'll have time actually to explain that title, even if we should explain the title, but we'll see how this goes. But this is a very impressively directed film by Hannah Marks, another feature film directed by a woman.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, it's great, and it's based on this John Green novel of the same name. John Green also wrote *The Fault in Our Stars*. Did you ever see that movie? It's a
Mm,
romantic comedy movie, romantic drama, a romantic tragedy of young people. Anyway, this is his
I don't
follow up to
remember.
that hugely popular young person's novel. But Turtles All the Way Down, it centers on a 16-year-old girl. Her name is Asa Holmes. She's an Indianapolis high school student, superbly played in this movie by Isabel Merced, who's afflicted with obsessive compulsive disorder and
Mm,
anxiety. And it's about her search for this fugitive or missing. This is where the story got a little weird in the beginning. I'm going, where is this movie going? But she's looking for this billionaire because there's $100,000 reward, but at the same time she begins a relationship with that billionaire's son. So it's really a story, in a way it's a story about mental illness, inspired by the kind of mental illness that affected the author of the book, Tom Green's life since he was a kid. So it comes deep from this personal experience of the author, and so it has this strong ring of truth about it. And it's about how this OCD anxiety disorder affects this 16-year-old girl's life and the impact that it has on her relationships. And I actually think the least said about the plot and what happens and what you can expect, the better. But it's a remarkable film. Acting, writing, direction, all top of the line. And its message that love is how you become real will move you to tears. It moved me to tears. So
wow.
I
Okay.
highly recommend. It's called Turtles All the Way Down, and it began streaming on Max, formerly HBO Max, as of yesterday. So it's not playing in theaters. It's going strictly to streaming, and I suspect they did that because it's a serious young person's movie dealing with
Mm,
serious issues and friendships and romantic relationships, but it's all under this umbrella of how this young girl is perceiving those things because she's got this OCD and she's in her head all the time. She overthinks things. She's kind of a germaphobe because she's overthinking things and because
mm-hmm.
she's read so much. It's kind of heavy, but it's also kind of funny and light too. And the relationship between this girl, what's her Asa,
Mm-hmm.
her relationship with her best friend is really very, very touchingly rendered here in this
For
movie. I loved this film. I thought it
would
was good,
you
and it actually makes me want to read the book. Yeah,
would you let a high school student watch this one?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. So,
All right. I love it.
so
We're gonna recap. You ready?
yeah,
Fall Guy, you said don't bother. You said it's boring and formulaic, and you don't recommend this one, even though other
no,
critics are all over it. You're not.
yeah, yeah, no.
Now, the idea of you, you said it's about sexy time. You didn't love it, but you didn't hate it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anne Hathaway, Anne
How can
Hathaway
you go wrong?
saved it for me. Yeah.
Tarot, you said it's silly and dumb, and we said no for tarot.
Yeah. No
No.
for tarot. Yes.
Yeah, no for tarot.
No for tarot.
Jean Du Barry, you liked this one. You
Mm-hmm.
said it's an interesting story historically and visually. The details are amazing. It's Johnny Depp's comeback after the whole trial, and you liked it. You said
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
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 Mars Express, you also liked it. You said it's again interesting and it's dubbed in English, but it's a compelling story. And you said it's good but violent.
Yes. And
So,
it's a cartoon for adults.
cartoon
Yes.
for grown-ups. And
Yeah.
lastly, Turtles All the Way Down, you said loved it. It'll move you to tears.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, yeah. Hey, I should officially hire you as my official press
I'll
agent or
take any
something.
job you're offering at this
All
point. You
right.
just
Okay.
throw
Well,
it at me and I'm down.
okay. Well, we'll talk about that offline.
Tim Sika, you are amazing, and I am so lucky to have you at the movies after party style with Tim Sika. Thank you for being on the show, my friend.
You're welcome, Kim. And I think you are amazing as well. So thank you for
Aw,
having me.